Rabbit farming is the game of numbers. Farmers invest most of their cash and invest most of their time to know how they can increase the litter size from the rabbits. That is why in today's video we are going to talk about how breeding will help you to increase the litter size of your rabbits so that you can be able to gain more profits from your rabbit meat farming. At the end of this video, you are going to know the importance of record keeping and selection in breeding. You are also going to know the correct age at which you are going to use your doe and your buck for breeding, and also you are going to know the standardized process of breeding and mating of your rabbits. And at the end also, you are going to be able to identify the poor breeding strategies or practices that maybe you could be practicing in your farm and that are leading to low litters in your rabbits. So the first thing, what is breeding? Breeding is the process of selectively mating animals of desirable genetic traits to enhance these traits in the future generation. So therefore, breeding is whereby you choose the rabbits or the bucks and the does that have the desirable characteristics, for example, the mothering ability, the prolificacy, that is the size of the litter, and also the productive period and the good freshing ability, that is the ability to build muscles. All these are the characteristics that are used to select the bucks and the does that you are going to use for breeding. First and foremost, we are going to talk about record keeping and selection. Farming without record keeping is as useless as it can be. You need to have a good record keeping so that you can be able to plan for the future, so that you can be able to have a good breeding strategy or a good breeding program. Also, selection depends on record keeping. That is why if you're going to select a doe for breeding, you must be able to check in the records on how it have been performing in the previous years. Therefore, what am I talking about here? What I'm saying is that you must have a good record for you to be able to have a good breeding strategy, because the ability to have a large size of litter or a large litter size is passed on from one generation to another. What is the correct age to breed your does and the bucks? The correct age to breed your does should be at 16 to 18 weeks. That is 4 to 4.5 months. This increase the litter size. That is when you breed your does at 4 to 4.5 months of age. Bucks become ready for selection or for breeding when they reach an age of 6 months. So when you use them before the 6 months, they will not be able to breed properly with the does, and this can reduce the litter size in your rabbits. The productivity period of a doe is up to 3 years. After 3 years, the productivity starts to go down. And for the bucks, they can be used for up to 5 years. After 5 years, then you can cull them and introduce a new stock from another family tree. Now let's talk about the good or the proper breeding strategies that you should practice in your rabbit meat farm. Number one is the buck to doe ratio. The buck to doe ratio should range from 1:5 to 1:10. This means that 1 buck is to 5 does, up to 1 buck is to 10 does. It should be in this range. Another thing is when to breed your doe. You should be able to know that does do not have a regular cycle that we see in most of the animals like cows, but for the rabbits, they can be ready for breeding throughout the year. But what you are supposed to know is that after giving birth, the doe should be allowed to rest for 3 to 4 weeks before you mate it again. I know there's a myth that goes that you should mate your rabbit the same day after it gives birth. That is so incorrect. During pregnancy, you should not breed your doe. This is because the doe is able to have 2 pregnancies at the same time. What happens is that during giving birth, the doe will give birth to the already formed or the ready to be given birth kids, and also the kids that are undeveloped. Hence, this will cause complications. You should bring the doe into the back's cage and not the back into the doe's cage. This is because the back is able to perform properly when it's in an environment that is comfortable with. If you take the back to the doe will most of the time become aggressive when in its territory, and this will make it hard for the back to breed with the doe. So make sure that you take the doe to the back. If it's for the first time for the doe to be bred, it is normal for the doe to be running all over because it have not been exposed to this before. So what you are supposed to do is to get the doe out of the back's cage, and you can place her in the next cage where they can see each other and interact passively before you reintroduce the doe to the back again. Or you can first of all take her away and bring her later in the day. Some of the farmers may ask, how are you going to be sure that successful breeding has taken place? Now, successful breeding is identified when the back mounts on the doe and the back falls off successively. But for an unsuccessful breeding, the back you will see the back struggling to mount on the doe, but the doe is not giving in. Another important thing is that you should be able to monitor as the doe is being bred. This is to make sure that at least 3 successful breedings have taken place. If you carry out proper selection and proper record keeping, accompanied by a proper breeding strategy, as we have discussed before, you are guaranteed for an increase in the litter size of your rabbits, and this will increase profits in your farm. Let's talk about the poor breeding practices that rabbit farmers practice on the farm. Number 1 is the poor record keeping. If you have a poor record keeping, you will be unable to have a good selection criteria, and if you have a poor selection criteria, this means that you are going to end up with poor performing backs and does that will not give you the maximum production that you need so that you can gain your profits. Another thing is that you should not breed litter mates. You should find another back from another family tree to come and service your does. This is to prevent the genetic uniformity. Genetic uniformity comes with a lot of negative impacts to the rabbits, and you should be able to have a good culling strategy. This is to cull off the rabbits with poor performance, those with poor mothering ability, those who are aggressive. When you are mating or when you are breeding, you should ensure that both the back and the doe are at their right ages. That is, they have reached the age of breeding. Make sure that the environment where the breeding is taking place is conducive. That is, to make sure that both the back and the doe are not stressed when breeding is taking place, because this can affect the litter size. You should maintain the shape of your breeding stock. That is, they should not be malnutritionized or they should not be fat, in short, because this will affect the litter size directly. Malnutrition and increased gain weight will reduce the chances of conception, and this will of course affect the litter size. Another thing is you check on nutrition. You must be able to feed the doe in the right nutrition before you breed it. This increases the chances of conception, and increase in conception rates will help in increasing the litter size. Talking about nutrition, click on the video on your screen right now so that you can be able to know the benefits of feeding moringa to your rabbits.